Guys, make sure we're all set up. I don't even know how to start this, guys. I mean, I have a thing all written out. That's just heartbreaking. You know how much I want to cheer for Billy Napier? Billy is such a good guy. You know, off the field, he does some kind things, tries to even sneak around some of the people behind the scenes so he could do nice charitable things. Pretty strict guy. Not much off the field you could really fault him for. He's done a ton for this program. I think there's a bunch of off the field stuff that Mullen didn't really care enough to do. McElwain was maybe just a little bit before we could get to that. But, I mean, Napier off to a tough start. I mean, after that A&M game, everybody was already saying he was done. There was very little chance that he could come back from this. But, you know, he beat some teams he was supposed to beat. Beat Mississippi State. Had a really good game against them, I'd say. Then had the bye week to prepare. Came off the bye week against UCF. Won that game 24-13. Had the offense looking really good in the first half. Second half, it's not really this video to get into that. Defense looked phenomenal in that game. So then we get into this game. You know, Billy could have won this game. I mean, obviously, we lost in overtime. Billy could have won this game multiple times. If Billy would have won, what would the discussion have been? I feel like he would have had the Kentucky game. Kentucky just lost to Vanderbilt, by the way. So there's that news. So he would have had a Kentucky game, which would have been his second easiest game for the rest of the season, probably. So he could pick up that win. The Gators could be 5-2. Get a bye week. Play Georgia, who's been struggling. I mean, they struggled against Mississippi State today. I'm not sure the final score of that game, but it was like a 10-point game in the fourth quarter, and Mississippi State had the ball. So that definitely would have been, I would have considered it a winnable game for Billy. Then, so we go into that game 5-2. No, it's like, okay, maybe recruiting picks up a bit. Maybe we're a top 25 team. Go into that game, play it close. We would have to play it at least close, I think. Probably lose. I'm not going to pick us to beat a really good Georgia team. Then we would have had Texas on the road. That would have been 5-3 then going into Texas. That Texas game, definitely a loss on the road at Texas especially. But, you know, you can excuse that. Texas probably going to be the second-ranked team. I think you probably put Oregon at 1 after their win over Ohio State. And Texas does play Georgia, so maybe Texas could be back at 1 after playing Georgia next week. But probably lose that. You're 5-4. Then you have 3 games, 2 at home, 1 on the road. The first home game against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, a team that I think based on our play style, we could really keep up with. So I think they're limited in the trenches. Our defensive line, we'll get into that later, but I think they've really improved. So there's that. But probably lose that game. You're at 5-5. LSU, every single year that LSU game is one that you just can't miss. There's always some wacky thing that happens in that game, kind of unexplainable thing. So at home as well, that's one that I think you could easily take part of. I mean, LSU's defense also pretty bad. I think we could take advantage of that. LSU's pretty limited in the pass game, so you just scheme up your defense that way. Maybe that's your 6th win. And then, really the one that could have bought fans back, FSU. That's the game where you 100% would have had to at least get your 6th win. FSU, we all know how FSU is doing. They're 1-4, 1-5 right now. I mean, they got lucky against Cal. I think if they played Cal again today, they'd lose that game. But they won it. But Brock Glenn looked all right. But man, it's just, you think Billy could have actually saved his job. But he lost to Tennessee. Now we're at the point. I mean, are we lower than what we were after the Texas A&M game? Does Billy have a higher chance to save his job now than he did after the A&M game? I'd probably say no. You already scrolled through Twitter/X. Let me get the score up, actually. 23-17 overtime. You already see people on X talking about, is he going to be fired tomorrow? Obviously, the Lane Kiffin comments. Is it going to be on the tarmac? Let's get a little bit of joy out if you ever saw on College Game Day. They have the guest speaker, Caitlin, talking about Joey Freshwater. So let's have a little bit of fun at least at this 11:21, a long college football day. Pretty good one, too. But we'll get into that later. Let's get into how this game went. Let's go kind of drive by drive. First drive of the game, Tennessee has the ball. They're driving a good bit. You could see where Florida's strength was actually inside, which after, especially the A&M game, people would not have said, in Mississippi State game even. But, they're going outside. Nico was scrambling a bit out the pocket. I liked what Tennessee was doing right there with him. I think he did know. Okay, Rory. But they drove a bit. I kind of liked what I saw. They were driving not too easily to where it's like, oh, man, this game's going to be over before it even started. But we get a fumble. Really good stuff there. Then we start driving down the field. We get into Tennessee territory. This is the story of the game, really. Florida had 5 drives inside of the Tennessee territory in the first half. They scored on one of them, 1 field goal. That's the whole story of the game. We get to a 4th and 3. Looks like we're going to go for it. Come out of a timeout. We punt it. We get a 3 and out. Plan field position. Billy trusts his defense, and it works. We get the ball back, drive down, and kick a field goal. I mean, this is a really good Tennessee defense, especially front 7. That's a pretty tough defense to run on, and they have pretty good pass rush with James Pierce especially. I think you saw Florida capitalize a lot on what you see us capitalize on most of the time we're successful. Just some runs, the play action, the short game. Given enough time, meaning another season or two, allow the man to bring his vision and team together has been working on. Rory, I'm going to ask, what is your team? Because I feel like that answer could tell me a lot about these comments. But, hey, maybe you believe that. I'm not here to... I'm no expert. I'm just a Go Gators baby. Ooh. Hey, maybe we'll see something happen tomorrow, but who knows? But where was I? Okay, we kicked the field goal. So we kick our field goal, and then Tennessee, been a true fan since the mid-90s. Oh, okay. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, but hey, okay. Tennessee drives a bit. We get 3 straight sacks. That's really when you start to see, hey, maybe this defense has taken a next step. I guess they did something during the bye week. Maybe they figured out their true rotations. Maybe they taught them some new things that they were missing. So it's like, we'll take it. Get the ball. DJ Lagway, the 5-star freshman, he's coming onto the field, the 3rd drive of the game. And he does a really good job. Second play is a 17-yard pass. We run pretty successfully. I know Lagway gets a nice run. We then get into red zone. We get into the red zone. We get to a 4th and 1. Around the 19-ish yard line, probably, I'd say. Can't remember off the top of my head. On the last drive, we saw on a third one, I can't remember if it was third one or fourth one, we saw us go for a QB sneak with Graham Mertz. It works to perfection. I mean, it's a QB sneak. You just got to get 1 yard, and that's a perfect play right there. This time, you're bringing a guy who's probably a good 20 pounds heavier than Graham Mertz is. So you think, hey, worked last time. Now you have a player who is probably better used for. You should do it again. Because I feel like our trenches in the run game right there have been working pretty well this game. But what do? We give it to Trey Wilson on a sweep route. Trey Wilson, that's his first touch of the game. Feel like a lot of the night he was a decoy, especially the first part of the game. And Tennessee eats the play alive. I mean, the QB sneak was right there too. But they eat it alive. We go another. Oh, that's our first time in the red zone not scoring. The defense goes out again. They get a 1 first down. Then they get a stop, punt. Boom, Florida ball again. Defense is playing lights out. Now is the time to put our boots on their neck and end this game. Drive down the field. Graham Mertz doing some classic Graham Mertz things. The run game's working pretty well. I feel like Montreal Johnson, I think this was the drive he trucked somebody. Montreal had a really good game. And we get to the 1 yard line. First and goal from the 1 after a Montreal Johnson 13-yard run. Graham Mertz is on the field. So remember back to that last drive where we said we should have done a QB sneak on the 4th and 1 Lagway. We do the QB sneak with Graham Mertz here. It was a long 1 yard. We do it pretty short. It's pretty obvious. At the end of the play, Graham Mertz fumbles. Oh, man. That play was so devastating, man. At that point, this game probably should have been 17-0. I mean, Montreal gets 1 more yard. Mertz doesn't fumble. We're talking about a 17-0 game. The bunch of time in the second quarter left. We're breaking this game open and deflate Tennessee after coming off that loss to Arkansas. Just so sad. It's devastating, really. Okay, defense comes back on. We get a 3-and-out. No, we don't get a 3-and-out. I'm sorry. We stop them on a 4th and 1 from their own 10-yard line. And what does Josh Heupel do? Maybe one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Goes for it on his own 10 from 4th and 1. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody ever go for it on their own 10. Like, unless the game, they have to get it or the game's over. But if they get it, it's like, oh, here comes Tennessee. Florida squandered their opportunity. 2 plays later, Sharif Denson gets a pick. And then after the pick, there's a unnecessary roughness call or some penalty on Tennessee that drives us and puts us on the 11-yard line. Okay. You know, your last 2 drives, you've squandered opportunities in the red zone. That's fine. We got the ball. We can still make it a 10-point lead at halftime. Still make it, get the ball at the start of the second half, too. That's a 2-for-1 right there. Let me put this on here. So I want to talk about this, actually. Let's finish halftime. Let me finish to halftime first. We get the ball, and then we get a false start. Then an incomplete pass. Timeout by Florida. Timeout by Tennessee. 1-yard pass to Eugene Wilson. Then Mertz is sacked. So we're looking at a 42-yardish field goal here. The Tennessee 25, I think. It's like, you know what? That's fine. That's a pretty easy field goal for Trace Mack. He's been a really good kicker for us. Couple misses, but I mean, we expect that. We run down the clock, so I'll get back to what Rorty said. Kick the field goal. If you remember, Utah last year, Florida gets a big stop on third down, forces Utah to punt when the game is 7-0 still, I think. And what happened? Or 7-3. And then what happens next? 12 players. No, there was a player with 2 threes. We had Jason Marshall and Trey Wilson on the field at the same time, both wearing the number 3. Florida gets penalized for it. Then Utah goes and scores. What happens here? Well, 12 men on the field. We have a special play mat just specifically for that. We adopted it this offseason. So this specifically wouldn't happen. I mean, how do you let this happen, guys? I don't even know. But it happens. There's a 10-second runoff. So let's go to what Rorty GG said here. The biggest mistake Napier made, I believe, was deciding to take the final timeout on second down with the clock stopped already. That kept us being able to use the timeout to negate the 10-second runoff. Rorty, which one do you mean right here? In the end of the game? Was to take the final timeout on second down with the clock stopped already. That kept us from being able to use the timeout to negate the 10-second runoff. Okay. No, I see what you mean. This was at the end of half. Okay, let me check something real quick, actually. Okay. Yeah. After an incomplete pass. Okay. And in the first half, that would have made it a 6-0 lead. I mean, I don't think you really try to think about if there's going to end up being a penalty and cause a 10-second runoff. That's kind of just something that, unfortunate. I mean, so far the special teams have been really good this year, I'd say. Well, I mean, it's the special teams, but I mean, later on in the game, they were huge for us, so we'll get onto that later. But it's something to look back in hindsight and be like, oh, man, why did I do that? But in the moment, you can't really kick yourself for doing that. So then Florida gets ball to start the second half. Oh, man, actually, more special teams. The kickoff, the second half, Florida gets the ball. It's a touchback, kicked out of bounds, or kicked out the end zone. Florida has 2 different blindside blocks. Now, they only called it on one of them. I don't know which one it was. They call blindside block when it was... I agree, but the time at the time... Anything fair. Start the second half. Blindside block. 12-yard penalty. Half a distance to the goal. Whatever. We bring in DJ Lagway. Kind of ruins his whole feel for the game. Because backed up into his own territory. And we go 3 and out. I mean, we're still up 3-0. Whoop-de-doo. So we punt the Tennessee. They go 3 and out. Here's where the game actually started to change in the good for Florida. Graham Mertz, 11-yard pass, 25-yard pass, 20-yard Montrell Johnson run. Then a 15-yard Graham Mertz run. I remember that run was a really good run right there. And then touchdown pass to Arliss Boardingham. The Gators go up 10-0. This is where I started to actually feel confident. I'm like, our defense has been lights out. Graham Mertz has all the momentum in the world. He's on top of the world. After the play, non-contact injury, likely his Achilles. I know earlier, I'm pretty sure it was the same drive earlier. Montrell Johnson went down with some ankle injury. Not sure the update on those, but we will see later. Actually, let's see if I can find any update on that. Probably not yet, but yeah, no. Okay. But man, Graham Mertz, that 15-yard run brought so much energy to the team. I mean, they already had a ton of energy in this game. So, yay there. But that run was so electric, man. And then the 13-yard touchdown pass to Arliss Boardingham. That's really where I was like, we're going to win this game. I felt confident. I mean, I was more than confident, you know. I was like, sure we were going to win that game. I mean, even with Mertz hurt, I trusted DJ Lagway, the 4th-ranked composite rated player in the country. 5-star, all the talent in the world, future first-round draft pick, in my opinion. Maybe top 5 draft pick. I don't want to get too bold there. But, we still got this. Defense playing lights out. Tennessee then drives down the field on us. I mean, it was bound to happen. They end up getting a touchdown. You can't complain. You're up 10-7 in the third quarter. Excuse me. 2:57 left in the third quarter. Your offense just had a nice drive. So, Lagway, a big team player. So I think the team was going to be really with him. Build each other up around Mertz's injury. So we can go out there, still win this game. First play. Was it the first play? It was the first play. DJ Lagway throws the interception to Arian Carter. That's where I thought it was over. Tennessee had just scored a touchdown drive. Lagway throws the pick. I honestly thought from there on it was done. But then they go 3-and-out. Kick a field goal. They tie it. So you know what? Maybe it's not over. Maybe the Gators are still in it. Lagway has the next drive, the first play, 18-yard pass to Trey Wilson. Hey, this team's still in it. We're tied. It's still tied. We have the ball. It's about to be the fourth quarter. On this drive, it ends up being the fourth quarter. So, hey, we still got this. And then we punt. Punt, man. I mean, you could tell the play calls with Lagway, they just felt clunky. I'm not sure if Napier was trying to protect Lagway, especially after his first pass or not his first pass, but the first pass where Mertz was out was that pick. So maybe he wanted to play it a little safe. Yo, what's up, Tyler? What's up, Tony? Vandy beat Kentucky, so y'all can't be that mad. I won't be that mad if I wake up tomorrow to some tweet saying head coach of Florida may be fired. But get back into that later. Let's continue with this game breakdown. We punt, force Tennessee to punt. Then we punt. It's a game of punts. And then, second here. They have a nice return. There's about 10 minutes left in the game. Tennessee has a really good return in this game. Okay. And then 23-yard touchdown, Dylan Simpson run. They're up 17-10. It's not looking too good. Hey, everyone. Make my day better. Do what Tony Montana said. Like the stream. It'll make my night, day. It'll make tomorrow. Make everything much, much better. So then we get the ball back. We go 3-and-out, of course. I mean, we then get a stop. We make Tennessee go 3-and-out. I mean, the defense actually played really well in this game. So we'll get back into that, but the defense played really well. We get the ball back. We punt again. We cause Tennessee to go 3-and-out. It's just a game back and forth. So we have 2.5 minutes. We start driving. We're after a good Shamari DK punt return. Actually, the last drive as well. DK had a really good punt return. Set us up in plus territory. We still end up having to punt there because of a sack. Then we make him go 3-and-out. And then DK with another huge punt return. He set us up at the Tennessee 31-yard line. Then I get a 13-yard run, -2. And then we get a false start. And then we get a -1-yard pass. It's 3rd and 18, 36 seconds left. All hope was lost. I'm like, man, we lost. Billy, is it going to be on the tarmac? Is it going to be on the spot? Who knows? But then DJ Lagway, the 5-star freshman, He does it. Keeps his poise in the pocket. Had to wait for his receiver to get open, and he makes a tight throw right between the two defenders to Chimere DK again. DK may have been our team MVP outside of someone on the defense, maybe. But, I mean, DK played elite. We go. It looks like we're going to go for 2. We come out with this crazy trick play where we send everybody to the left of the formation, but except the center and DJ Lagway. Tennessee calls a timeout. We go out there, kick the field goal. Then we go to overtime. Tyler, please take Glenn Schumann. Maybe. You know, if we go hire an older coach like a Kurt with Nadia from Indiana, make him the DC and just make him the Kurt replacement when he retires, then maybe. But okay, we get ball to start the overtime periods. Where's that? Right here. Okay. We get ball, start the overtime periods. And start the overtime. I love the play call here, where we send DJ Lagway out to the right, let DK, who's been the entire offense in the fourth quarter, really, go make a play. I don't know if it was a corner or a linebacker for Tennessee. He makes a great play by reading it. It could have been a touchdown, but the linebacker or corner got out there just in the nick of time for Tennessee, so no good. Then the next play, false start. Now we're lined up at a 2nd and 15 from Tennessee's 30-yard line. So that's a 47-yard field goal right there. This may be one of Billy Napier's worst play calls that I've seen him make while at UF. It's 2nd and 15. You have a 5-star mobile quarterback. I think Lagway should be feeling confident. Sent the game to overtime. So what do? You throw a screenplay 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Billy, I mean, come on, dude. This is the backup running back. You just can't do that. I mean, I love Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson. I think they play great games. I think there's definitely something they add that Montrell Johnson doesn't. But a screen on 2nd and 15 in overtime. Just mind-blowing. I don't understand it. What is going on through his head? Even if it's Russ Callaway calling the plays for DJ Lagway like it's reported he was. That's still a horrible call. I don't care who made it. I mean, I don't need to say it again. Napier should be fired for this. I mean, now it's 3rd and 20 at the Tennessee 35. That's a 52-yard field goal right there. I trust Smack to make something like that. We get a 5-yard run. So we're at a 47-ish yard field goal, 49, 48, 47, something like that. Seen Smack make these. He's only missed this year so far. He's been from 53, so whatever. And he misses it wide right. He smacked it wide right. I mean, that's where everything came down. That's where Billy's job came crashing down. That's really the end of it. Trey Smack missing a field goal wide right in overtime in Neyland. I mean, we got everybody talking here. Florida has an upset win in them somewhere. Maybe under Dan Enos as the interim. I mean, we play Kentucky. I mean, next week. Is Billy the coach for that game? I don't think we'll beat Georgia or Texas because neutral site game, so probably plus Georgia. Texas at Texas. We're not winning at Texas. This is one I do more like LSU. I mean, FSU will probably be favorites against, unless FSU turns a big corner here, which they could. As, yeah, they'll be underdogs. They won't be underdogs versus FSU. But then Tennessee, they actually throw it on the first play of overtime. That kind of surprised me. I'm like, hey, you have one of the leading rusher in the SEC, I believe in Dylan Sampson, just run it with him. But no, they trust Nico, scramble out the pocket. Okay, let's put this up actually. Why wasn't the ball placed where the third down run ended at? What do you mean, Rorty? They're on the screenplay? Oh, the ball run. I think it was Jaden Ball. It may have been closer to the right hash. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to go and relook at that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, inexcusable missing a 47-yard field goal or something like that. I don't care if it should be on the right, left, middle, all the way to sideline. Still shouldn't miss that. Trace Mack, 6-star kicker. Cole's 6-star. He's as touted as it gets for a kicker here. So, wow, we have Ole Miss and LSU about to go to overtime as well. The SEC and Big Ten had 2 really good games. More than just 2. I mean, they had a lot of really good games today. So Tennessee wins it. Ed Orgeron, interim head coach, would be great. I would love that, but it's just not going to happen. It's likely Dan Enos. He's one of the only 2 former head coaches on our staff. He was OC for Arkansas last year. He actually got fired the week before they played Florida, or 2 weeks. I think they had a bye week. But he was fired just before they played Florida from Arkansas after they scored 3 or 7 points against Mississippi State. Wait, can Ole Miss still win this in regulation? Bobby P at Florida. He's got that Arkansas job locked up, Tony. But I think that'd be great, but for only 6 games, just wouldn't make much sense. Key costs too much money, and probably having to pay Billy a good sum of money. So I would not count on that. Let's go how I think they performed. Let's go over some stats real quick. You take a sip of sparkling wine. No product placement. You had Graham Mertz, classic Graham Mertz game, 11 of 15 for 125 yards and a touchdown. Now this is classic Graham Mertz. I think Billy called a really good game for Mertz. Oh no, I gotta show this one. Mark Stoops at Florida. Especially if Mark Stoops loses to Florida next week. At the end of the day, the turnovers cost us the game, and that's not a coaching error. I'll say this. The turnover on downs, where we called the end around, that was a coaching error. You do not call that play on 4th and 1. The fumble on the 1, okay, yeah, that's not his fault at all. The pick from Lagway, not really his fault. But, I mean, we didn't really have too many turnovers besides like the turnover on downs, I guess. I mean, the 12 men on the field was his fault. You practice all offseason for that. You have the map for it, man. I already went on a rant for that. He has the map specifically for it. And we still get 12 on the field. 10-second run off. I mean, you got a game that gone to overtime. A touchdown. 2 field goals. 1 field goal. I mean, in theory, that's the difference between Florida winning and Florida losing. So, also the wide receiver. I do think Montrell Johnson got that first down. Yep. I agree with you here, Rorty. I do think he got the first down. I don't know why they didn't review it, because it looked like he kind of snuck out there and kept his knee down off the floor for another first down. But still, that's wide receiver sweep, which is a horrible play call. But continue on Mertz's stat line. 11-15, 125, a touchdown. Classic Mertz game. Also, 5 carries, 11 yards. Pretty sure there was definitely sacks included along 15. We talked about he had 2 really good first down runs. I mean, he showed his how much he loves his team. I really hope Mertz can play again for UF. Because, I mean, you can tell how much he loves UF. Loves the coaches, loves the players. He wants to win. So seeing him get hurt is just so sad, man. And then DJ Lagway, 9 of 17, 98 yards, minus that 5 from the horrible string play in overtime. So should have been 103. But I digress. He had 5 carries for 1 yard. Sacked. I mean, freshman QB. Tennessee's defensive line really stepped up in the second half. Then on the ground, Montrell Johnson. So many Gator fans hate on Montrell Johnson because of a weak offensive line. They see a Jaden Ball, a Jacoby Jackson have a really good play against Mississippi State and UCF. And they're like, man, Montrell doesn't do that. We should start Jaden Ball or Jacoby Jackson. Well, Montrell Johnson, 12 carries, 85 yards, 7.1 average. He was a difference maker in this game. And this is not me saying that Jackson and Ball are bad. I think they're two really good backs. Ball's a freshman. Jackson, I'm not sure what he is. I know he's a JUCO transfer. But he had a really good, I mean, not in a really good game, but 12 carries for 25 for Ball, and then 5 for 16 for Jackson. 2.1 and 3.2 yards per carry, respectively. That's why you need Montrell. That's why he's been a starter for 3 years. I mean, this really is. Then you look at receiving. Chimere Dike, 4 catches, 76 yards, to touchdown that sent to overtime. He had a really good game. Punt returning, he had 57 punt return yards. He had a 30-yard punt return and a 27-yard punt return. So hats off to DK. Deserves better, honestly. And then Boardingham was second with 3 catches for 40 yards. And Hayden Hansen, also 3 catches for 40 yards. Boardingham, of course, had the first touchdown of the game. You had Eugene Wilson, 5 catches, 35 yards. He had a really nice catch in the fourth quarter from Lagway. I mean, that was a pretty bad decision, but whatever. And then Elijah Badger, man, 2 catches for 30 yards. He was off to a really hot start in that game, too. I don't know what happened, why we stopped going to him. I think we needed to feed him a bit more. Maybe get Lagway to give him the ball when he starts coming on the field, your most trusted receiver. But it happens. So how do I feel like this offense played overall? From inside the 20s, this was a classic what Billy Napier wants to do. Had really good runs, tried to stay ahead of the sticks, and I think we did it pretty well. I feel like the passing game was on point. The run game was kind of on point. We have one big problem. Pistol formation. I don't know the exact number, but it has to be 80 to 90% of the time when we go into pistol formation, it is a run play. Why is that? I don't know. I can only think of one pass play, that maybe 2 actually, that came out of the pistol formation. Every other time was a run. It comes to a point where it's predictable. And you notice it didn't work. I feel like when we ran out of the shotgun, it worked a bit more than it did out of the pistol. Does Billy see something on tape that's like, yo, it's just a run out the pistol. It works every time. It doesn't, obviously. But it is a problem. The third down pass to Wilson in triple coverage, 3 yards short, was a... Yeah, okay, that's the pass I was talking about. What did we do there? We punted. We got a Louisville fan here, and Tony. Where's the Tebow picture on the wall? Every Florida fan is required to have one. Ooh, my dog right there. I don't have one. You know, I do have a Florida Gators the Swamp poster. So I could probably put it right there where that backpack is. I think I need some good decor, so I could probably put that back there. But no, I have to look into that, Tony. Wow. Okay. Let's continue talking about the offense. Lagway, I'm screwed then. I don't have a Tebow pick on my wall. Yeah, we're just not sure Gator fans. Unless you just have like a Shane Matthews one. That's why you don't have one. You have Shane Matthews still. But offense, feel like it was pretty classic. Lagway didn't. I feel like I don't know if they're limiting the playbook. Maybe he doesn't know it yet. I mean, that's a true freshman. That's something that you kind of come to expect. Very few true freshman QBs can light it up. Rex Grossman, wow. Hey, don't get me started about how Rex Grossman was snubbed of the 2001 Heisman. I wasn't alive, but hey, I can look at stats. But you can tell they didn't open enough the playbook for Lagway. I feel like we should attack deep. We barely went deep in this game. I remember I saw Mertz throw the ball like 15 yards down the field. I'm like, oh my God, a deep pass. Like, what? Why? What am I thinking there? And then was our longest, like, yep, exactly, Rory. You know ball. Like, you underutilized Lagway after Mertz was injured. Exactly. I mean, I think you got to trust a 5-star QB there. Don't know what we're doing. I have heard that it's possible that Russ Callaway calls plays when Lagway's on the field, but I feel like in this situation, it was probably Napier. I feel like when I say Napier, I keep getting like a French Napier, Don't know why I do that. But definitely underutilized Lagway. I feel like we should have gotten out of the pocket more. Let him do his thing. Let him get comfortable in the offense. Take some more shots down the field. All right, let's go to the defense. How did the defense perform? The defense was great. I think the interior of the defensive line, I said it after the Miami game, and I took a lot of flack for it. The interior defensive line is pretty good. I think Cam Jackson has played a really good this season. Caleb Banks is a really good run defender. I did say that the loss of Jamari Lyons has probably been the loss of Jamari Lyons has maybe been like the biggest injury this season until now with Montreal and Mertz. But of course, SG1 wants the Age Rooster shout out. Shout out my boy Age Rooster. He's a Michigan fan. Oh wow, Dart almost just threw an interception. But shout out to Age Rooster. Maybe Michigan will turn things up. Go check out the Voice Michigan, the Voice of College Football. TJ over there runs a pretty good show. Like and subscribe to his show, and like and subscribe to mine. But the defense, the interior. Thanks for shouting out my son, of course, Tony. The interior D-line, I think, played really good. DeAndre Robinson, he's technically a transfer, but he's a true freshman transfer from Texas because their D-line coach went to LSU. So he's transferred to Florida because he couldn't get out of his national letter of intent. And oh my goodness, Dart almost threw interception again. Wow. But he had a really good game. I know he had a TFL or two. Maybe two. I can't remember exactly. But the edges, I think they played their best game. We gave a lot of help. Jaden Robinson, the true sophomore, redshirt freshman, don't know how many games he played last year. No, he played the Arkansas game last year a lot because of injuries. But I feel like Jaden Robinson had a breakout performance. So, Jaden Robinson, what do you mean? Jaden Robinson had a breakout performance at the linebacker / edge. I 100% agree with this. When I noticed Tennessee having the most success, it was just quick plays out on the sides, really. Didn't give them much in the field, down the field, in the middle of the field. This channel is going to be, oh, thanks so much, SG1. This channel is going to be booming in a few months. When that Napier fire news comes out, it's going to hit like crack. Going to try to spread it to everybody. But I 100% agree here. Oh, God. Guys, I was so wrong about Jordan Castell. First 5 games of the season last year, true freshman, maybe some of the best safety play we've seen from UF since CJ Gardner-Johnson. Ever since, he has been horrible. I mean, I don't want to hate on him. I mean, he's the same age as me. So I can hate on him as long as I want, He plays so soft. He's always 15 yards away from the receiver. They run a quick out route. There's there. Oh, I just remembered. Tennessee's touchdown drive, I think it was. We're about to easily get off the field. It's a 2nd and 10. They run a screen or he checks down. Jordan Castell. LSU wins in overtime. Sorry. Jordan Castell has an easy tackle. One-on-one tackle. The running back just caught the ball. Castell misses it. I mean, Tennessee then goes and scores. Right here, he pansies out and whiffs the tackle. I mean, he missed a couple other tackles in the game. Tennessee, they could have had 2 big explosive plays, deep shots. Nico overthrew them. Both of them were on Jordan Castell. We got lucky he overthrew them, but there was another big play that Jason Marshall broke up. Marshall, the corner, is running with the receiver, and Jordan Castell is 10 yards behind him. Doesn't miss it. I felt like he dodged the contact like a pansy. I mean, that's like the only way to describe it, man. I don't know. I said he needed to be benched. I'd rather put in the true freshman Gregory Smith. Like, if you're going to go out there and play like that, you shouldn't be on the field in the SEC. Go play at USC with Lincoln Riley if you want to avoid SEC contact. That's how I feel about it. I just don't know what else to say, man. Like, Jason Marshall had another great game, a couple of pass breakups, including that one deep shot I was telling you about. The other corners played all right. I mean, Nico is bad. Like, he's still young. I'm not calling him bad for the rest of his career. But Nico has a lot to improve on. I think our defensive line did give him pressure. But you got to be better than that, Nico. I don't know what else to tell you, man. How do you feel about age through watching Minnesota versus UCLA over you? Embarrassing because you are way more entertaining. I know UCLA is down to their backup quarterback. He's watching them over me. I mean, Max Brosmer is not that entertaining for Minnesota. Like, I know Minnesota beat USC last week and should have beat Michigan. We're not going to get into that. This is not the show for that. We're here talking about the Gators. Let's see. Has Napier been fired? Has he made any statements? Everything I'm seeing is about Ashton Jeanty. What did Ashton Jeanty do right here? From the 46-yard line, takes it to the house. That's just common Ashton Jeanty stuff. I mean, oh my goodness. My whole Twitter feed is legit Ashton Jeanty. My whole Twitter feed is Ashton Jeanty. Travis Hunter hurt. You know, I normally would agree with you here, but our football team is so bad, can't really talk about it. Linebackers, Shamar James, Pup Howard. These guys are going to be playing at the next level. I think Pup Howard, I was really high on Shamar James, and he's played good. But Pup Howard might be better than Shamar. He reads plays a lot, makes a lot of tackles. I feel like he might also be a little better in coverage than Shamar is. So I think we got to boost up Pup a lot. Luckily, he's only a sophomore. The next coaching staff, make sure to keep Pup Howard. Don't let him go leave a transfer from another school again. South Carolina really could have used him today. I think that's pretty much it. Hey, next week, 7:45 p.m. Eastern in the Swamp, the Gators will be facing Kentucky. Tomorrow night, I will be doing a live show. You will see my predictions on that game. But, if you mean, if you take a step back and take a deeper look, yeah, we've lost more games than we should have. But almost every game we're within one score winning besides Miami and A&M. That A&M game, I feel like it was weird to say because most people are going to say it wasn't as close as the score seemed. I kind of feel the opposite. Florida's a tripped wide receiver away from that game possibly being 33-27 with 2 minutes left. Taylor Spirito trips and DJ Lagway throws a pick. But if he doesn't slip there, Florida still had 3 timeouts too. Tell your friends and family and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Tyler will be bringing on the Florida at the voice of college football. Tell your grandmas, guys. I don't care. Tell your dogs. You see my dog right there. Or you can't, but she's right there in spirit. But I do think that A&M game was closer than it looked. I don't know why the team seems more motivated now after starting 1-2 than they did going into that Miami game. Because we've now seen Miami isn't this all motivated team. It's just a Billy Napier effect, I guess. That's really the only way to put it, guys. Let's look at some other scores from around the country. I feel like this was maybe one of the best weeks in college football. I really want to talk about it. I want you guys to talk about it in the comments. Anything you want to talk about. So let's see what happens here. We got LSU pulled the upset on Ole Miss at home. Underdog LSU at home against an Ole Miss team. Everyone saw that coming in overtime. You see Iowa State hold on to beat West Virginia. Iowa State now probably the clear favorite. Them and BYU still the clear favorites in the Big 12. Kansas State up 14-7 on Colorado at halftime. I got to give Colorado props. They've been a lot better than I expected. I don't know what they changed after that Nebraska game. Maybe Nebraska still is really good. Oh, no. Tony, we didn't have to go there. I want to talk about how you were dead wrong about Virginia. Man, hey, Anthony Calandria still scored me 300-plus points in fantasy. I'm happy. Props to Louisville. They needed to win this game to stay relevant in the ACC. Don't know if they can still win the conference. Y'all still play Miami, if I'm not mistaken. So you still have a really good shot. The other loss being Notre Dame, you're still in the running. But it's tough because Clemson, SMU don't play each other. Miami doesn't play SMU either. So it's going to be tough for you. You have to be Miami, then need SMU to lose twice. Or, yeah, you need SMU to lose twice. So I should look on that. But with that being said, everybody, it's midnight. The Jaguars play in London tomorrow. 9:30 a.m. kickoff. We play Miami at home this Saturday. But midnight, guys. I'll be live tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Well, wait, why did LSU rush defeat after this win? Who knows, man? Brian Kelly's like that, I guess. But we'll be live. We'll try this one more time. We will be live tomorrow at 7 o'clock for my review show. We'll be talking about the Kentucky game. We'll maybe have an emergency show or emergency episode about Billy Napier's future, maybe some injuries. If you guys have anything you want me to do for tomorrow's show, leave it in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Voice of College Football and all of our partner shows: Florida, Michigan, Ohio State, Clemson, Rutgers, Indiana, so many of them. And have a great night.